All right, hi everybody. Today we're talking about value, the relative lightness and darkness on a surface, and the key to developing realism in your drawings. So when we talk about value, we're talking about the range of light, medium, and dark tones that we use to create a three-dimensional illusion on a two-dimensional surface. So we use rendering and shading as a way to build up value on an image. But we can also use line as a way to create value changes through cross-hatching, hatching, pointillism, lettering words, and scribbles. So when I talk about hatching, it's small marks like this. Cross-hatching would create an X effect. Pointillism is the use of dots to create value. Lettering and words, same idea, and then scribbles to create darker areas versus lighter areas. So creating the illusion of volume is how we make something look three-dimensional, and we do this by creating or incorporating the 5 parts of light to create that illusion of form. So these are the 5 parts of light, and on the next slide there's an image with all of the pieces labeled. That'll be really important for you to know. But you need to know your highlight, halftone, shadow, reflected light, and cast shadow. All right, so first, we have our light source. So we think about the sun or a light bulb. All right, then we have the highlight. This is the brightest part of an object, the part where the light source hits our object. Next, we have our midtone. So this is going to be our grayish area. So I want to point out something right away. Notice that the highlight does not actually reach the edge of the object. It's sort of moved in a little bit. And then the midtone creates a ring around the highlight, being most narrow on the edge towards the light source. Next, we see our core shadow, or just our shadow. So when we think of a shadow, we think of like Peter Pan, the thing that's on the sidewalk because the sun hits us, looks just like us, but that's actually our cast shadow, which we see on the ground. The core shadow is the darkest point on our form that we have. And then we have our reflected light, which can be kind of hard to see all the time, but I promise it's there. It's the light source hitting the foundation that our object is sitting on, and that light then reflects back up onto the object, which creates our reflected light. And then last we have our cast shadow, which is our Peter Pan-esque shadow there. All right, so next we have our value scale. So when you're working in black and white, you should always have a range of whites, grays, and blacks. So contrast between tones creates the illusion of form through value, and putting something really light next to something really dark creates contrast and emphasis. But notice that here you have your value range, your value scale, and you have your lightest lights up here at the top, and it comes all the way down to your darkest darks, all the way down here. And you want to incorporate that full range in your drawings. So here you can see the use of contrast and highlights. So over here in this image they used a lot brighter whites and darker darks, and it creates that even more three-dimensional looking image. Whereas over here there's less use of value, which makes the image appear a little bit more flat, not quite as vibrant and popping off the page. All right, so like I talked about before, there's other techniques to create value besides just rendering and shading. So we have our cross-hatching, hatching, contour lines, stippling or pointillism with the dots, scrumbling, which is the scribbles, or you can even use patterns, other techniques like that. So here are examples of my work and my use of other techniques to create value. So over here you can see I used pointillism, so dots. I used hatching and cross-hatching on the pineapple, and then the Marilyn Monroe is a mix of hatching, pointillism, and words as well to create value. So for your assignment, you're going to be doing a value scale. So like we saw earlier, that scale from light to dark. And then you're going to be using geometric shapes to create form So the sphere that we saw, you'll be doing a similar thing with the variety of value techniques like the hatching, cross-hatching, and scribbling. All right? All right, thanks everybody for listening. You're going to do great. All right.